Bad pros, what you gonna do when the Prose Police are coming for you? Bad pros.
Alrighty.
Don't beat yourself up too, Kate. Technical difficulties, anyone can have them. All right. So, you got it on the screen there, Kate? Do you have it on the screen?
Well, yeah, you do. It's up there.
Okay. All right.
You have controls now, remember?
Yes. I was just making sure it was actually visible on the thing.
Yes.
All right. So, again, this is Mason in the Dark. Go check him out. He's pretty damn spiffy. And this is his third installment of Bleeding Ground. I believe he called this chapter, a symphony of, or I think a symphony of screams is part of the title of the overall work. I don't really know how he's titling this thing yet. I'll ask him. Anyways.
Bleeding Ground. He will probably tell us in the comments tomorrow.
I'm sure. Far away from the desolation of Huxley, many miles as the crow flies, across sweeping plains and rolling valleys, over the jagged peaks of mountain ridges and the harsh rocky wastelands lay the sea. On a cold evening, as grim winter prepared to give way to sweet spring, the sun dipped below the horizon. It painted the ocean's bubbling gray surface of vivid molten gold, tinged with ruby red. A man stood with his keen eyes fixed on 6 strangers. Brutish-looking men relaxing around a roaring campfire, ready for their evening meal. The man inhaled. The crisp sea breeze carried the mouth-watering scent of roasting fish. It was a tempting smell, even if it did seem like the meal was in desperate need of seasoning. The strangers had the numbers advantage. They looked strong and well-fed, but the man was far from harmless. A viciously playful smile crept onto his thin face. After months of travel, isolation, and boredom, the fun could truly begin again. Hitching his horse to a nearby tree, he set off towards the feasting strangers. Confidence radiated from him. Clearly, he was a man with a plan, and although he was most likely walking into a dangerous situation, his purposeful steps never faltered. Whew, that is one hell of a paragraph, folks. That is one hell of a paragraph. You want to start, Caitlin, or?
Well, I agree with Lauren when she said how it hooks you right away.
Yes.
With that description. And because it's very cinematic in a way, because at the very beginning you get this idea of starting with far away from the desolation of Huxley, but somehow you still get this idea that they're going through some kind of wasteland. Almost.
Yeah, because the word desolation has a very strong mental. It's a powerful word. It has a lot of connotation that carries with it. I agree with that 100%. That's one of the things Mason is really good at, in my opinion, is he is really good at picking the right word for the situation and using words for maximum effect a good chunk of the time. He does not waste language.
Yeah.
I will say one thing I notice is, and this is, I don't know if this has been edited by him or anyone else, and of course he does have the sight impairment, so that's obviously a barrier. And I don't know how much that affects his ability to edit, but the punctuation needs some work in a few places. I felt like a few places there needs to be a comma, because so We have this very long sentence up at the top. Far away from the desolation of Huxley, many miles as the crow flies, across sweeping plains and rolling valleys, over the jagged peaks of mountain ridges and the harsh, rocky wastelands by the sea. Very long sentence, but it is
Yeah.
properly broken up by commas. But
Yeah.
then, right after that, on a cold evening, as grim winter prepared to give way to sweet spring, the sun dipped below the horizon. No comma in that. And
Mm-hmm.
I can actually see that one's debatable on whether it needs a comma. On a cold evening,
Well,
winter prepared to give way to sweet spring. Actually, yeah. Personally, I would put a comma right after spring.
honestly, I would say because how the sentence is broken up, and for those of you who would like to know how to properly use Oxford commas, this sentence is a really good example. Okay, so here we have, on a cold evening, as grim winter prepared to give way to sweet spring, the sun dipped below the horizon. How you could break this up with Oxford commas is, on a cold evening, comma, as grim winter prepared to give way to sweet spring, comma, the sun dipped below the horizon. Because how you could alter that would be, on a cold evening, the sun dipped below the horizon as grim winter prepared to give way to sweet spring, or vice versa. Just a little tip.
Yeah, good breakdown, Kate. Solid breakdown. Moving on, it painted the ocean's bubbling gray surface a vivid molten gold tinged with ruby red. Here's a perfect example of why I call my good friend Mason the common man's poet.
Mm-hmm.
It's such simple language, but the word choice, it paints such a clear picture.
Mm-hmm.
And it it just amazes me that a man who cannot see painted such a vividly beautiful I know he could see when he was a kid, but he spent, half of his life without sight. And the fact that he still has that ability to paint this vivid picture that I can see in my mind's eye, and it's
Yeah.
absolutely stunning. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Well,
Bravo.
see, that kind of leans into the whole idea that, when you write, you are not seeing with your physical eyes, but the eyes of your imagination, which seem,
The true storytellers, at least.
Yeah.
So, but to go back to Caitlin's thing about the comma, it painted the ocean's bubbling gray surface a vivid molten gold, comma, tinged with ruby red. Breaking that up with the comma right after gold would strengthen the solidity of the description, because we would now be 100% sure that the surface was molten gold tinged with red.
Mm-hmm.
But when we don't have the comma there, we don't know we don't know the blend, basically. The comma would make it very clear. So it's mostly gold, but a little red. Next sentence. A man stood with his keen eyes fixed on 6 strangers. Okay, that's a short sentence with a period right after. And he actually moves into short sentences, or shorter than the first two right here. Brutish-looking men relaxed around a roaring campfire, ready for their evening meal. Yeah. I'm not sure if I would brutish-looking men relaxing. So here's something. This isn't an issue, but I want to make a point of it because this is a discussion about voice. Okay. So we're clearly writing this in past tense. But right here, we use the word relaxing instead of relaxed. But because of the setup from the previous sentence, a man stood with his keen eyes fixed on 6 strangers. the syntax in the following sentence of using relaxing is still proper. So this is one of those places where using relaxed or relaxing would both be acceptable, and that's a voice choice. It's a small voice choice, but it's these little choices that are strung throughout the length of a manuscript that make up voice. And personally for me, the way words sound impacts how I feel about them, even when it's just a variation of the same word. When I hear relaxing, I get a slightly different mental picture than when I hear relaxed. Because, and here's why. Because when I hear relaxed, the ED immediately shoves to the front of my perception of the word past tense.
Yeah.
So I immediately realize, so they were done relaxing shortly after this sentence. You know, it changes the way I think about the information. Relaxing makes me think it's something they're actively doing, that there's no immediate end in sight. And so it changes the entire way I think about what those men are doing around their campfire and the direction that the story is going. And that's how these little, tiny little voice choices can have a big impact on the readability and the thought process of your readers as you go through your manuscript. So every little detail matters, folks.
Yes.
Okay. Now we have a very short sentence. The man inhaled. 3-word sentence. We're getting down to descriptions, so that usually tells you there's going to be some action soon. It's a very common technique, and I have mixed feelings about it, but it's an accepted technique, so what have you. The crisp sea breeze carried the mouth-watering scent of roasting fish. Period. I think that sentence is good. It was a tempting smell, even if it did seem like the meal was in desperate need of seasoning. Now, here's something.
I love
threw in.
how he can tell the difference via smell, which
Yes.
lends
That's what
itself to being like, hey, this is one of those things that lends itself to, hey, this narrator, the narrator himself is blind. Because who would know this except for somebody's senses who were way more acute?
Well, someone who had a good sense of smell,
yeah,
or a chef.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say, kind of in the same vein of what Caitlin was just saying, he threw in this one little sentence here, and we immediately get a ton of characterization and voice. It lends itself, like as Caitlin loves to say, it lends itself very greatly to the voice of the narrator, because it's a completely useless piece of information in terms of what's about to happen and the greater story, but the narrator felt a need to point it out.
Yeah.
The narrator thought it was important. That's the essence of narrator voice.
Yeah.
And here's something that you want to think about when you're trying to create narrator voice, okay? Don't let yourself constantly go on asides or use hyper-exaggerated language, because you want your narrator to speak in a way that the people you're aiming your book at will understand. And this is why it's so important to not go to extremes to define narrator voice, and why it's very important to know who you're trying to write to, so that you can speak in a dialect, in a voice that they will comfortably and easily consume. So narrator voice is super important, and the characterization. And the other thing is, we feel like this is probably, because of the way the narration is done, close third. So we get the idea that the guy who's watching these dudes around the fire notices that. And that's an interesting little bit of information about his character, like Caitlin was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And a great way to be able to do this is also if you treat your story itself like it is a character, if you are not writing in first person, um, if you treat your story itself almost like it's a character that is interacting with the world and the people, that can help to bring out more of
Did you
a
mean to say
narrative voice.
story or narrator?
Well, for people who have an issue with creating a good narrative voice, when first getting into this, if they treat the story itself like it is a character, it is a good introductory to building a narrative voice.
I'm
Because
not sure if I
often
would
they
like that idea that way, but if it works for some people, it works for some people, I
well,
guess.
I mean, it's because a lot of people, when first getting into this, they often see narrator and story as separate
Yeah.
entities, and it causes an issue.
Yeah, it causes strain. I hear what you're saying. Okay, I want to move down. Caitlin, is there anything in the part following that you wanted to bite into?
No.
Actually, hey, hang on there. So there's one more thing I do want to bite into here. A viciously playful smile crept onto his thin face after months of travel. Or excuse me, so period. That's important. A viciously smile crept onto his thin face. Period.
Yes.
After months of travel, isolation, and boredom, the fun could truly begin again.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the second sentence, Mason, you really need a comma after boredom, because without the Oxford comma, isolation, boredom, and isolation and boredom, the fun. Without that Oxford comma after boredom, it sounds like the boredom was fun, or the fun is going to be it. You need that comma there.
Yeah, well, because how it would break down would be after months of travel, the fun could truly begin again. Would be one thing.
Because that comma doesn't protect the word boredom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because isolation and boredom are just addendums.
Well, that's not true. You can have a blast in isolation, and you can be bored out of your mind in a social situation. Those two things aren't necessarily the same, Kate.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying they're addendums, like addendum details to the sentence.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Which is why you need the other comma.
Yeah, I misunderstood what you were saying. I my bad. Okay. The strangers had the numbers advantage. Okay, so now I want to go down. Here's our first piece of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Considering you sat on your fat arse doing naught today, you seem more than happy to step your face. One man said with a sneer before spearing his own piece of fish to pull out of the fire. Was you talking about naught? I keep watch, and making the fires was cooking your food, you ungrateful prick, replied a second man, tensing his heavily bearded jaw. If looks could kill, the first man would have dropped dead on the spot.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it too. The whole thing is, so the reason I wanted to get to this, the whole thing is so good. First of all, you can instantly tell that this story is either being told by a Brit or it's set in that general.
Well, obviously he said Huxley.
Well, yeah, but some people might not know where Huxley is. I don't know exactly where it is. I just know I vaguely know it's somewhere in the UK.
But I mean, that kind of gives you the idea, though, doesn't it? If you said
but
vaguely in the UK.
Kate, my point is, there's people who are worse at geography than me.
Yeah, I suppose.
And I mean, Huxley it's not a capital or anything. You wouldn't even necessarily need to be bad at geography to have never heard of Huxley.
But I mean, the word just says that it's...
Oh, yeah, I agree. If you looked at the etymology of the word, 100%. It's British as fuck.
It's like, no, this place is in England.
Right. Yeah, no, 100% agree with you there, but some people don't know very much about etymology or linguistics.
Oh, well.
So anyways, one man said with a sneer before spearing his own piece of fish to pull out of the fire. What you talking about? Not. So, okay. So this whole exchange, what's good is we get a very colorful piece of dialogue immediately followed by a descriptive action that's just long enough to fit in all of the flavor we want while still being short enough to be quick and punchy so we can get to the next bit of dialogue. Then we have a second retort where oh, you ungrateful prick, replied a second man, tensing his heavily bearded jaw. If looks could kill, the first man would have dropped dead on the spot. So, first of all, if looks could kill, comma, the first man would have dropped dead on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay. But beyond that, again, we see in this line that Mason has a beautiful sense of how to flow through a conversational scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're getting the idea that motion is happening. People aren't just because sometimes when you read dialogue in a book, it reads like two people are doing this. Yes, I fought the queen. She was a menacing bitch. Thank God we conquered her evil sorceress ass. Yeah, man, my nephew died, but totally worth, yo. Like, sometimes when I read dialogue in books, it feels like the characters are standing there having a conversation like that. What Mason has done here is proven that he knows how to not do that, which is great.
Yes, because most people don't know how to do that right out the gate. And this also, too, tells you that this person has conversations with lots of people on a regular basis and understands how, flow of conversation should work. So I recommend that people go out and talk to people because it helps.
It's very useful. And it also, so the reason that's important to be able to convey that, this is one of the skills that's kind of a really good windsock of the skill of the narrator.
Yes.
If you cannot write dialogue and the scenes around the dialogue in a way that paints a good mental picture and you can tell how people are saying things and that's this way they're, the way they're saying things, the tone, the inflections, the body language, okay? If your writing does not convey those things surrounding the dialogue, it's an indicator that you don't really know what you're doing. I don't really know.
And it's like this
facts.
Yeah, it's like this person doesn't know what they're doing. But that's very obviously not the case here. And he was worried.
He is somewhere between like adept and mastered at that. It really is quite good. Every bit as good as mine, in my opinion.
I like very, very much. It's like, hey, it flows and it moves, and I actually feel like I'm actually watching two people discourse for real.
Also, just as a quick disclaimer, this is actually better than what's in the Garden of Lies. I got better at it by the second book. I really am quite impressed with this. Anyways. Yeah, making the fire that you got to sit by for hours. Or, goddamn. Yeah, making the fire that you got to sit by for hours. Meanwhile, the rest of us were down there freezing our bullocks off. but that's too good for you, isn't it, Hob? The first man spat back with a frustrated gesture down to the rocky beach, currently being battered by the ocean waves.
I
That's
oh my God.
downright
I love this
cinematic.
so much.
That's downright fucking cinematic again. Let me read y'all,
Like,
because that's poetry.
mm,
Let me give you this gentle massage on your ears again. The
ugh.
first man spat back with a frustrated gesture down to the rocky beach, currently being battered by the ocean waves.
Ugh.
You know what he did there, folks? You know what
Touched
Mason
my
did with that fucking
soul. That's what he did. He touched
Okay,
my
okay.
soul.
Put your pants back on, Kate.
Shut up.
Okay? What he did was he synchronized the mood of the men with the mood of nature.
Yes.
That's what he did, and that is so powerful. That is a powerful, powerful, powerful storytelling technique. It's because it hits below the surface level of human understanding
Yeah.
to almost become something that's just innately felt like it's spiritual, okay? And his voice conveyed that thing.
Yeah.
And how did he do it? Here's how he did it. The first man spat back with a frustrated gesture. Spat back. So we instantly hear that he spit the words like you would do at someone you were mad at
Mm-hmm.
with a frustrated gesture. So not only did he vehemently express this idea, but he was rude and abrasive in his gestures and body language. This guy is being a dick.
Yes.
Out to the rocky beach, currently being battered. Those two words, being battered. It tells you that the tide is hitting hard. It tells you that the current is very strong and that the ocean is unfucking forgiving. Okay? So that we now know, so that tells us the mood of the man is synced up to the mood of the water. And again, that's just a spiritual concept that creates good storytelling.
Yes.
And it's really good. Judd even says he saw you sleep at one point. Yeah, man. Judd says he saw you sleeping. What the fuck, bro? Big ass move. You're supposed to be watching our backs. We could have got ate by bears. Your ass wouldn't even have been awake to see it. Fuck you, Judd. Thank you, folks. I'll be here all week.
Oh my God.
All right. Whew, man. You want to keep digging into this, Kate, or It's only been about 25 minutes ish.
Yeah. I mean, you think we can
Let's just go for like another 5.
Okay.
I never was. Hob roared, sending partly chewed fish debris flying from his mouth. This guy's an angry slob. As he jumps to his feet, rounding on a bald-headed third man. So now we get an introduction for a third person from that line. What you saying that for? Should knock you out telling lies like that. Just saying what I saw, Judd replied, making an attempt to sound bored and scraping food from between his teeth, but he couldn't hide the smirk of satisfaction at the drama unfolding. This guy's a conniving bastard.
Like, look here, man. Thou who stir the shit pot must lick the spoon.
Oh,
okay?
God. Why would you say that? Oh, God, on me.
saying.
Curse you! woman.
These characters, they always get that comeuppance.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I'm just saying.
Anyways. Hob took an angry step towards him, but then stopped in his tracks as the largest of the 6 men raised his hand in a warning gesture. So, we get a continuation of the scene. We introduce the guy who's apparently being set up to be the leader because he's the largest man, moved hand in a warning gesture. The narrator mentioned those 2 things to convey this is the head motherfucker.
Yeah. Yes, El Jefe, head honcho.
Yes. Chief executive, commander in chief.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Once Hob had repositioned himself in front of the fire, nothing more was said for a moment. Everybody was focused on their food, and so nobody noticed the newcomer stride right up, sit down, and help himself to a large chunk of fish. In fact, it was only as he reached for his second piece that Hob raised his head and registered what was happening. Even then, he was more than a little confused and unsure of what he was seeing. So, what I love about that is that gives a very clear level of how serious this whole thing was because they were that distracted. But we also get the idea that maybe this isn't the smartest group of bastards.
But also, what it tells you about the main character
is that he's very sneaky.
Well, not only very sneaky, but he's a very zero fucks given kind of dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%.
Like, I'm walking in here.
Balls the size of dodgeballs made of iron to do that move. Walk up to 6 random ass dudes in the wood you know have weapons.
Mm-hmm. And they're all
their
fighting.
Food that they just worked all day to get. You are asking to die.
And the fact that they're like in the middle of this like heated argument, like on the threshold of a brawl.
Right.
And you just, saunter yourself up in there.
This guy's like,
and
Caitlin, this guy's like, he's like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. I'm a goat.
That's right.
Oh my god.
It's lovely.
Balls of steel, folks. Oh. Iron Man has softer testicles. We are talking fucking just cold rolled iron jewels, folks.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, this kind of gives me like that almost Geralt sort of vibe.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's like, I'm bad and I know it, and I just like it. I can go wherever I want to, do whatever I want
this
to.
is the kind of thing. This is the kind of thing I could also see like Aragorn doing if he was trying to make an entrance.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in his younger days before he like got all old and grizzled and shit.
Yeah. This is also a very Ragnar thing to do.
Oh god. Caitlin.
Yeah.
let me tell you something about us Vikings. We always want the smoke. And we don't care who we're giving it to.
No.
We just want to throw some smoke. It's fun for us.
Yes.
So yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Balls of steel.
Mhm. Ah.
Oh.
Right.
Oh man, yeah. We'll end it there. That was fucking Mason.
Verdict.
Oh wait, why did I? Oh, so, Mason, you stand accused of being the bard of the common man, and I don't think you're an idiot, but like, what is it? What is like? Not idiot, but like just. It doesn't roll off the tongue, but like eccentric. What the fuck was I gonna say?
I don't know.
God damn it! I lost my train of thought, Caitlin.
We're gonna because we were trying to do it. Yeah, we're trying to do give him a verdict of are we charging him?
I forgot the word I was about to use after eccentric.
Eccentric, eclectic.
No, a word that meant an eccentric. God damn it!
Word that meant what? And I might be able.
Writer. But it's like another word for it.
Like a scrivener.
No, it started with a V. That's what's driving me crazy here. Caitlin, we're okay, we can't sit here and go down that rabbit hole of trying to fucking
Oh my god. Okay.
All right, folks. Mason of the Dark stands accused of being the bard of the common man and a dope-ass writer.
That's right.
Your sentence? You better fucking get like at least 6 or 7 novels out before you die.
That's right.
Or else there will be hell to pay.
Bad prose, what you gonna do when the Prose Police are coming for you? Bad prose.